Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. A local business is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And as Josh Feldberg reports, while this business is reminiscing on its time in the Southern Tier, it's also keeping an eye on the future.
The Radisson Hotel in Corning celebrated 50 years of business in the Gaffer District this year, but the historic building won't keep the Radisson name for much longer.
We will be converting to a DoubleTree by Hilton. We are currently starting renovations. Renovations will officially begin November 1st, and we are anticipating to have renovations completed April 1st of 2023.
A multi-million-dollar renovation is coming to the property.
So we've begun with the exterior painting, and we had shrub removal out front. I think that was the biggest notice of change. We've completed 2 demo rooms, and they're out for display this evening. We will be completely renovating the entire inside of the hotel, all 177 rooms. So the hotel will be completely unrecognizable.
The hotel hosted a groundbreaking to celebrate a new era. Mayor Bolin swung the ceremonial hammer, marking the beginning of the renovations.
For our community, this is a venerable space, an iconic venue that has been hosting us, our community, in many, many ways for many, many years. It's a treasure.
The hotel, located at the beginning of Market Street, which originally was built as a Hilton property, will now return to its original roots. Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Corning.
The Tompkins County Sheriff's Office has debuted their first all-battery electric car. Sheriff Osborne unveiled the Ford Mustang Mach-E yesterday. The car will be assigned to the Airport Division of the Sheriff's Office and will not be used for regular patrol. It was purchased by the county's Green Fleet Capital Fund, designated to help pilot new electric vehicles for the county's departments. This weekend, reptiles of all shapes and sizes will make their way into the Southern Tier. We spoke to organizer Jacob Dieter about Corning's very first Reptile Expo.
Okay, so I've actually got a couple of tables that are just educators/rescues, and they're going to be there just kind of educating people on native species from New York and other species that they might have on their table. So I kind of wanted to give people an opportunity to not only experience something new and exotic that they won't really see every day or very often, if ever, but it also gives families an opportunity to do something together that's family oriented and a good time.
The Reptile Expo won't only have reptiles, there'll also be a hedgehog table and an ice cream truck. To bring home a new scaly friend or to just check out the reptiles, you can come to the USW Local 1000 Union Hall this Sunday. The expo runs from 10 to 4 and is free for children under 10 with a cash admission of $5 for everyone else. The White House is defending its economic policies after September's Consumer Price Index report showed inflation above 8% for the 7th month in a row. Lucas Tomlinson joins us from Washington with more on how the economic debate is becoming increasingly political.
Inflation remains near 4-decade highs going back to the early 80s. Across the U.S. economy, Americans continue to pay more for just about everything. The White House insists its plans to turn the economy around are working. Others remain skeptical. Less than a month till the midterm elections, both sides racing to give their final pitch, how to turn America's economy around, following yesterday's worse-than-expected inflation news. Core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, now the highest in 40 years. The president thinks the country could be headed for a slight recession. Not all Democrats agree.
It would be irresponsible for any national leader to project that a recession is coming.
From 2017 to 2020, U.S. inflation averaged just 1.9%. This year, inflation has been over 7.5% every month. Gas prices remain high, spiking more than 18% over the past year. The September inflation report does not include the recent decision by OPEC to cut oil production by 2 million barrels per day. And food prices are up 11%. Rent saw its biggest jump in more than 30 years.
That's why Americans are in such a bad mood right now, because they feel it every time they go to the grocery store and the gas pump. And that's not something you can spin, because people feel it right in the wallet.
Biden's top economic advisor admits Americans are hurting right now.
The policies that we're doing to help mitigate and ease price pressures are having effect. But look, nobody is denying your fundamental point, which is this is a real squeeze on family budgets.
September's inflation report comes ahead of the Federal Reserve's next meeting at the beginning of November, where it's largely expected they'll raise interest rates again. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Post offices across the country are competing to stamp out breast cancer during the month of October. The Horseheads Post Office is one of the nation's leading centers, thanks to clerk Susan Cipoletti. For every sheet of breast cancer stamps you buy, a portion of the purchase goes to breast cancer research. Cipoletti said Horseheads is a small community with a big heart, and that's why so many people are buying the stamps. Horseheads is currently ranked second in sales, and the staff hopes to win the friendly competition for the first time this year. You can go on an 1880s libations crawl right here in 2022. The annual Archibalds Libations crawl is a costumed bar crawl through historic downtown Corning. Beverage tastings will be accompanied by actor performances and a chance to collect clues to solve a mystery. There will be costumed actors throughout the tour as well, and there'll be live music reflecting the 1880s on October 27th. The crawl begins at 5 and will go until 7. To purchase tickets, you can visit that link right there on your screen. The January 6th committee convened Thursday for another public hearing, and it's getting the attention of the former president. Madeline Rivera has more.
Those in favor will say aye. Aye.
Aye. In a stunning move, the January 6th House Select Committee unanimously voted to subpoena former President Trump, closing out what could be its final public hearing.
It's important as part of the next phase of the investigation that he be asked to come and testify under oath.
The committee argues the former president was at the center of a scheme to overturn the results of the 2020 election.
They're putting on their tear gas masks.
Never before seen footage shows congressional leaders hunkered down while the Capitol was under attack, begging for the National Guard to help.
Why don't you get the president to tell them to leave the Capitol, Mr. Attorney General?
It was just horrendous, and all at the instigation of the President of the United States.
In a new multi-page response, former President Trump did not address whether he would testify, but he did blast the committee's work as a witch hunt and criticize what he called the lack of due process and cross-examination. He says in part the Unselect Committee has perpetuated a show trial the likes of which this country has never seen before. Others say the vote to subpoena the former president less than a month before the high-stakes midterm elections is unlikely to sway voters.
If they were going to subpoena Trump, they could have done it a year ago if they really wanted to do this. It felt like political theater.
Polls show Republicans are favored to take back the House in November. If so, they'll likely disband the committee, meaning the panel has less than 3 months to finish its investigation. In Washington, Malta Rivera, Fox News.
Stay with us. More news and your complete weekend forecast is next.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
An active forecast dominated much of our Thursday, and we even continued to stay on the gloomier side today. Now, looking back at some of those reports, there were those strong wind gusts, even seeing a few isolated up to 40 miles per hour, isolated 50 across the state. But we'll note that we also saw rainfall. Did stay on the lighter side, especially across southern portions of New York, as we saw anywhere from about just a few quarters of an inch upwards of about 3/4 of an inch. Elmira, Corning around that 1/4 of an inch to about a 1/2 an inch in total. But we did stay under those gloomy skies, but some clearing will continue to occur as we even see that with some calm and clear conditions overnight, we're going to have some fog development to start off our Saturday morning. So note that there will be some of that reduced visibility if you plan to be out early, maybe hunting some of those fall colors, although it might be hard to find some of them. One, because we had the breezy conditions on Thursday that let a lot of those leaves loose, but we're also going to have more breezy conditions in store for our Saturday. So it might make for some pretty pictures of those leaves falling. We'll start off the day with those temperatures near seasonal, just around those upper 30s as average for this time of the year. In Elmira is around 39 degrees. We'll have that breezy sunshine around. So it's going to be a bright weekend for the most part. On the quieter side, just going to be stronger winds, and that's going to give us a little bit of some warming with a southerly wind intact. Now it is associated with a warm front that's passing in, and then a cold front that's going to be quickly behind it. There might be a shower or two that can shake out of it. Looks like most of any shower accumulation remains well off to the north of us, but can't rule out at times you'll maybe see an increased cloud cover potential and some of those gusty winds. But that cold front, as it quickly follows behind that warm front, will bring some cooler but still pretty pleasant conditions on Sunday, and that will be the day to get out and enjoy, because before we know it, another frontal system is going to be moving on through, and it's going to bring much cooler as well as wetter conditions as we head into next work week. So trending into the wind forecast, as mentioned, it's going to be a southerly wind, so some warming is going to happen due to the wind, but note that we get that wind back up to even 20 miles per hour as early as the mid-morning, and then you're looking at wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour, even a few exceeding 35 from that early lunch hour into the middle of the afternoon. And that's going to be that quick movement of that warm front moving in, and then you'll watch these winds by the evening hours switch to come out of the northwest with that cold front passage. So we'll top off just around 67 degrees, even nearly 5 degrees above average. Again, a few showers, some increased cloud cover there noted across the Finger Lakes possible, but that cooler air will start to filter in. So we see temperatures just a touch cooler than what we're experiencing for our Saturday morning, but we're still under those clear skies. And we'll keep the sunshine around for our Sunday forecast, but you're closer to average. So this is going to be, again, cooler than what we're experiencing on Saturday, but still pretty pleasant. So get out and enjoy it, because that change up occurs quickly as we have 55 only for a high on Monday, then the 40s on Tuesday and Wednesday, and with overnight temperatures falling near that freezing mark, there is the potential that there could be some wintry mix within some of this precipitation that could last much of the work week.
Americans are paying record prices for groceries, and one airline is projecting sky-high sales this holiday season. CJ Papa has those stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
With inflation in the U.S. hovering at a 40-year high, Americans are feeling the impact at the grocery store. According to the Consumer Price Index, prices for groceries rising 13.5% in the year ending in August. That is the largest jump in price since the period ending in March 1979. Fruits and vegetables rising 9.4% compared to last year, while bakery products and cereal have increased 16.4%. Meanwhile, as the holiday season approaches, retail sales fell flat in September. Adjusted for inflation, retail spending has been nearly unchanged from the previous year. Pet owners also having to shell out more for a visit to the vet's office. Government data showing prices for vet services have jumped 10% in the last year. That's the biggest spike in 2 decades. Many independent veterinarians say inflation is to blame, adding the prices of medicine, medical supplies, and tests are up. Delta Airlines remaining optimistic on their holiday travel outlook despite inflation leading to an increase in ticket prices. In fact, the airline is expecting holiday travel revenue this year will top pre-pandemic levels. Delta noting fuel and labor costs as reasons for increased prices. The company also saying new combined hybrid work and leisure schedules have helped their business. And Netflix is launching a cheaper plan for customers, but it will include ads. The ad-supported plan will debut in the U.S. on November 3rd and will cost $6.99 a month. Under the new plan, users will see a total of 4 to 5 minutes of ads per hour, which will play before and during content. That's business. I'm CJ Papa.
This year, 45% of all home buyers are first-time buyers. That's compared to last year. Jeff Flock reports from New Jersey.
The first-time home buyer is back. Take a look at these numbers. Last year, 37% of home buyers were first-timers. This year, it's up to 45%, back to pre-pandemic levels. We are in the suburbs of Philadelphia. This is Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Taking a look at this house here that was just toured by a first-time home buyer. Take a look at the pictures of Nicholas Campione. He is a fellow whose wife just had a baby, and he says this is now the time to buy for a first-time home buyer, even though interest rates are high and prices are still high too. Why? He told us.
I feel like now's the time. I got to move. Can't wait. If I wait, I feel like I'm afraid the interest rates are going to go up. So it's time to move on it right now.
And take a look at how much mortgage payments have gone up. Looking at this home, 207 Gravel Bend Road in Cherry Hill, listing price $465,000. Had you bought it in 2020 with interest rates in the 3% range, would have been $2,700 for your monthly payment. Now, interest rates doubling. That means your payment is $3,400. Real estate agent Julie Bellacci, they don't seem to care about that, the first-time home buyer.
The first-time home buyer doesn't feel the impact of the difference from the 3% to the 7% because they weren't qualified at the 3%. So the 7% interest rate is still less than what they would be paying for rent.
Gotcha. And rents are high, but at this point, you're not facing multiple offers. You're not competing. You can actually negotiate for price now.
That's right. The repeat buyers that were available before are not available now because they're not trying to pay extra for the extra interest rate.
Yeah, and prices remain high. I'll leave you with these numbers. Take a look. Home values and the prices consequently up 14% in the last year, up 43% since 2019. But the first-time buyer is still out there swinging. In Cherry Hill, New Jersey, I'm Jeff Flock. Back to you.
Still ahead, medical experts urging caution on over-the-counter hearing aids that will become available nationwide next week. That story and more coming up. Well, it seemed like a big help letting people buy hearing aids over the counter, but doctors are already raising some questions. Anthony Ponce has more.
A traditional hearing aid can run you up to $5,000 per ear, not to mention upfront costs like doctor's visits. But starting next week, adults will be able to buy hearing aids over the counter, places like Walgreens and CVS, or online for a fraction of the cost.
These devices are intended for adults only with mild to moderate hearing loss that is self-perceived.
Audiologists say these new devices could be a great option for folks who have slight trouble hearing, but not to the level they'd need a traditional hearing aid in all day.
When I identify that patient with that type of hearing loss, what happens is they might not want to wear a hearing aid all day long. They might not need a hearing aid all day long, but they need something.
But she says proceed with caution. A lot is still unknown about the quality of the over-the-counter hearing aids, including whether they will fit patients correctly and follow FDA volume guidelines.
Hopefully those devices are going to, not exceed those output limits.
She also points out the over-the-counter devices might not be for everyone. Each individual's hearing loss is unique and can often indicate a treatable medical issue like impaction, wax in the ears, or holes in the eardrum.
That person has to be educated. They have to understand what their hearing loss is and if that type of a device is appropriate or not.
Over-the-counter hearing aids are expected to hit pharmacy store shelves on Monday, October 17th. Again, they are for adults over the age of 18 who suffer from mild to moderate hearing loss. And if you do fall into that category, doctors still say you should get an ear exam. Anthony Ponce, Fox 32, Chicago.
Well, spending at retail stores falling flat in September as consumers continue to deal with decades-high inflation. Spending on everyday goods, including food, gas, and cars, went unchanged at 0% in September, according to the U.S. Commerce Department. Economists expected a growth of 0.2%. Now, this is a decline from August, when retail sales climbed 0.4%. The September advance is not adjusted for inflation, meaning consumers may be spending the same but getting less value for their money. Some e-bikes sold at major retailers are being recalled due to fire and explosion risk. The recall involves roughly 22,000 Ancheer e-bikes with the model number AM0 001907. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the lithium-ion batteries can ignite, explode, or spark, posing fire, explosion, and burn hazards to consumers. The safety agency says there have been 6 reports of incidents involving fire, sparks, or explosions, with 4 resulting in burn injuries. The recalled e-bikes were sold at numerous retailers, including Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Overstock, and Sears. There is a warning about a new scam on the popular dating app Tinder. The so-called pig butchery scam has the FBI and cybersecurity experts concerned. The scammers develop relationships, sometimes romantic, with their victims. They then convince their victims to invest a lot of money into cryptocurrency. But instead of using an established cryptocurrency website, the scammer sends the victims fake websites that they own. A cybersecurity expert says victims losing more than $200,000 isn't unusual with this scam. Stay with us. We'll have more after the break. And a story to leave you with a smile tonight. Tina Turner getting the Barbie treatment. Mattel honoring the musician on the 40th anniversary of the release of her hit song, What's Love Got to Do With It? The doll is part of the Barbie signature music series and features an outfit inspired by the music video for the song, a black mini dress paired with a denim jacket, and of course, her signature hairstyle. The doll is now available for purchase through Mattel as well as Amazon, Walmart, and Target. I'm Harriet Wallace. Thank you for watching.